Okay, well, it's really good to see you all. I hope you don't mind. I was going to attempt to record it so we can always post it for people who couldn't be there. Is that all right? You muted. That's good. I can't hear.
Muted.
Yeah, thumbs up is good. Okay. Right. We'll see what happens. Okay. This is this one's called A War ? A war. A war, they say. We are at war. A war against an invisible enemy. An enemy microscopic. An enemy present but unseen. Except the effects are witnessed. Cough, cough, cough. Fever rages. Signs of sickness recognized through the ages. Pestilence is still very much alive. Sweeping the globe. Picking off those who just can't survive. Battles fought by our defenses. There is no neutrality in this war. Degrees of immunity. We may get it and not even know, or we may get it and of this be very much certain. A hospital bed, 24-hour care, air pumped into us by artificial lungs, disguised by thinnest of curtains. On the front line, no soldiers but doctors and nurses, those sworn to protect lives. Never before have so many owed so much to so few. Around the world, vulnerable people, everyday people, fight and win, fight and lose, fight and keep on fighting. We keep a tally of who is infected and of who dies, totals that click up before our eyes, weary, weary eyes. Numbers keep rising and rising, hardly surprising. We've all been told it will get worse before it gets better. And still, it is shocking. A morbid fascination. Look how much death, how much suffering, how much more. But we know it is real. This is no movie. Poor buggers, we think, through our collective rose-tinted super 8mm delusion. But that couldn't happen here. Not here, in this green and pleasant land, full of merriment and good cheer. We've taken back control. This won't touch us, we say. We hope, some pray. As we wring our hands for at least 20 seconds. Others keep their distance and stay far, far away. This is what we can do. Minimize contact. A new experience for many as we are sociable, tribal, community-driven creatures. But in times of crisis, we look to the leaders and experts to teach us a new way to live and try not to spread death to the old, to the weak, to the vulnerable. And we gather round the prophets, the oracles, the reporters of truth or truths, advice and lots more. Stay tuned to the news and find out where we are today. How goes the war? And that's that one.
Clap, 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 clap.
Oh, it's good to hear a muted clap, muted applause. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Susie.
Me now? Yeah.
Yes.
I've got Dave on my screen. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
Okay. So I did put this one on Facebook, so people have probably seen it already. How many are we allowed to do? Is it just one or many?
We'll just go for one for now, because we may be clicking off in about 20 minutes. So.
Okay. Well, this is the one that's on Facebook, even though people have seen it already, but that's okay. So, oops. Lockdown. A shock. Thrown into close confines with family who I usually see briefly, even though we live together beneath one roof. The proof of modern middle life, of class, of age perhaps, of social status, now examined for its worth as news pours in of who is deemed essential. We are on a countdown till the germ-infested one can be released across the road, yes, just across to supermarket Nirvana, which is denied to us. We watch, perplexed as others fetch armfuls of absorbent paper, spurred on perhaps by herd mentality. I am redesigning garden beds, finding time for seeds and slowly, like a dormant bulb, remembering how to grow. The diary has remained unopened, usual rush and clamour gone, plans made months, a year ago, redundant. So I turn back into who I was, the nurturer, the planner, the planter. Garden gloves on nail-trimmed hands to clear away. Windows opened, jumpers on, pulses soaking on the stove. Tea, a wartime cup just like my father's. Now the wind and rain has stopped and storm clouds gone. We haul out bikes in readiness, waiting for our days of waiting to be over. Boots and baskets waiting for a forage walk. I am planning, plotting, sewing, waiting. This is lockdown, looking forward, not lockdown, standing still. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay. If we can all
Table
mute,
service, Claire.
if we can all mute our stuff, and then whoever's reading. So it's Andy now.
Okay. So this poem is called Ministry, and I happened to spend a bit of time this summer on the Salisbury Army Ranges, where you can't normally get. So it's just a poem about that, really. So this is Ministry. We phone in our position at the vedette. The killing jar clinks on the back seat when we break. There'll be a sniper in the wood, the voice says. You won't see him. He'll use you, though. And a van creeps past while we photograph fairy shrimp in the tank tracks. The first wheat ears in years precede the car down into the abandoned village. Bullet casings, dull, greenish, litter the ground beyond, under the wild parsnip and the yellow rattle. Honestly, I'm glad there's no Sanfoin bee up on the Sanfoin, and that the Montague's Harrier I put up in my clumsiness away from the entomologist is not written down. Loitering, where a machine gun has emptied itself into the distance, near a heart carved on a birch, I think on the shell craters brimming with unrecorded terrestris, Namada, Ridorarius, Melita, and Andrina, and how the ash trees crowning the barrow there look so much like a headstone.
Thank you.
Hello. Shall I just do one for now, or shall I do both?
Go for Tony's for now. Yeah.
Cool. Brilliant. Right. So this is by Tony Hendry. Just now we are severely restricted in our movements, but our emotions and our imagination can take us anywhere. Back to you. My senses are confused. I hear wild garlic, smell granite, and taste colour powder bombs at a holy festival in Bangalore. Though I've never been to India. I see a frolicsome breeze, a fox's bark, a tawny owl's hoot, and the burp of a contented baby in a Tian Shan mountain village, though I've not set foot in China. I touch starlight and sound waves, savor the scent of the jet stream, and listen to a batch of bagels freshly made at a Chicago bakery, though I've never been stateside. I was a prosaic stay-at-home, but since we met the other night, my senses have become nomadic. They move in Silk Road caravans, in diving bells, and on skyrockets, on horses escaped from carousels, and in mass molecular migrations. Your smile has gifted me the world and different ways of knowing it. Yet everything leads back to you. Have another Tony one, or should I save it for the second half?
Go for it.
Cool, thank you. This was inspired by a nostalgic visit last month that Tony made to his old haunts down south, near Waldingham. Once, 2 fox cubs tumbled down a slope in a play fight to come to a halt at your feet. All 3 of you were astounded. Once, a white hart ambled out of folklore to cross a field between 2 beech woods, never seen again in 20 years. Always the liberation of gaining height until you hit the scarp and the broad view, and anything was possible. Except, of course, on the shrouded days. They were like the storm-felled tree trunks that you had to clamber over. No shore delights. Fat mud could clog boots and burden you like thoughts about last week and fears about the week to come. No shore delights, so you cherish them more. Leaf litter, bronzed by winter sun, emerald moss, blood clot holly berries in the marl pits. You were always alone, yet sometimes sharing. There was a bench inscribed for a young man who loved to work with wood. And often, you said hello at the school graves, where 2 forever teenaged girls lay down with nuns of the Sacred Heart. At times of loss, you gripped invisible hands and asked their owners to look at the view. Look across the Weald, you'd say, to Ashdown Forest and the South Downs. Beautiful molecules shifting and settling. We'll meet up by and by.
Great.
Really good. Really good.
And really well read by Becca there too, so that's great.
Well, thank you, Becca.
Pleasure as always, Tony. Thank you for writing really good poems.
Okay.
All this to you as well, Tony.
All right, cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Caroline, it's you.
Yeah, hi. This is a poem about not being able to breathe in a good way, kind of, and freedom from mountains, in the mountains. Okay, very short indeed. Should be okay. Okay, I'm starting. It's called Himalaya, and I'm going to start. Taken from thin air of Himalaya, taken by poetry, taken. Borrowed from the fat side of verse, borrowed by eyes of seers, borrowed. Given, plangent timbre, harmony from broken bells, given. Taken to thin air of Himalaya, taking poetry, hefting thoughts, seeing breath through thin air. Ta-da! Finished. It's actually a film. I made a film through this, a film poem. So it's also a poem and a film poem. It's on Vimeo.
Cool. Well, we can check that out maybe tomorrow or something. Okay.
Yeah.
It's Claire.
Okay. So I'm not doing a song. I'm going to do a poem. And I was texting my friend earlier and I was like, I don't know if what I write is, is it free verse? Is it prose poetry? I don't know. So feedback would be more than welcome. Maybe after SpeakEasy. Okay. Doesn't have a name. My heart doesn't always keep my best interests close. I have to wake it up and speak out against it. My heart blames others. I blame my heart. Maybe I should blame me. Stop lying to myself and allowing myself to listen. I'm at war with myself. I need outside help because maybe the problem is me. Maybe the problem is me. Every heartbeat goes to dumb, and with every iambic, the D, my heart is being tugged away from me. Every soft, playful pull eventually turns into a yank, and it hurts because my heart is beating its fists against the bars of my ribcage, trying to get out, bursting through the gaps to get out of me and reach you. But my body, I am holding myself back, and my heart is furious. Furious with me, with my skin and bone body, for not letting it get to what it wants. It doesn't always understand what it wants is wrong for it. And like dealing with a stubborn child, I have to speak to myself with care and love. I want what I want, not what I want to want, because I understand what I need. Sometimes I have to fail to succeed. It might not be me. It might not be me. Somebody else has put my brain to sleep. I listen out as so much of society lies to me. And I have to pull my heart back to me, come back to me. I am yours and you are mine. My heart my body is a protective barrier from the world for you. You want my heart? You'll have to go through me first.
Good stuff.
Right, give me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying SpeakEasy no shouting edition. Nobody's wearing any trousers. This one's really sad. It's so sad that I put it in Comic Sans to make it seem less sad. I think it's called Fear. Work through the mind hurt. Afraid of being afraid. But what's there not to be afraid of? Everything is an approximation. What about the parts that won't approximate? What lives in the gap between senses? I want to be a seagull for a while, lose myself in the now and maybe never find it again, because the now is always rolling on and over everything it was. Everything's ultimate desire is to expire, and everything works hard its entire resistance to do so. Do I stop it and play an active part? Wouldn't it be nice to pass on the game, say no thank you when the box comes out, because it's tiring. It's tiring, isn't it? No one would take part if they could opt out from the start, and that's the God's honest truth. As if something like God would be capable of something like honesty or truth. The God, more like lingering in the road, just to see how long it takes drivers to react to the ball before reaching the other side always. Fear of everything is unbearable, but also includes fear of escaping the fear, which is a euphemism for ending it all. which is uncouth or overwrought, to refer to directly, I think. And appearing uncouth or overwrought is, of course, within the phrase remit, all-encompassing fact, something you'd never say to its face. Sorry, I got thrown off there by my poem was so good it got rid of the time limit.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Thank you. That was great.
Have you put your money in?
Put a bob in the meter because we've got a limited
Well
minute.
done, James.
Thank you.
Is it me now?
Yeah, unless James has got another one.
Oh, okay.
We're not doing different more bits in the second half.
We
I'll
can,
do something in the second bit.
okay, in the second half. Okay, Kelly, it's you.
Okay. This is a very short one, which I wrote in a wonderful workshop that Andy Hopkins did in Carlisle. I think it was in February, wasn't it? It seems like a different world now where you could all sit round a table and talk and write stuff together. Anyway, it's very short. It's called Man and Moth. English moth folds its wings, nestles in hollow, sleeps, dreams of India, land of fire, saris, rubies. Kathakali actor, weary, wipes off his makeup, the reds and the yellows, lies down and dreams he is a brown moth hidden in a hollow. Tomorrow he will jump and dance on stage. The people will clap. Tonight his wings are folded, his head tucked in. Thank you.
Right, did you have another one, Kelly, or is that?
I have got another very short one from the same workshop, if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay. North Rona, once inhabited by monks who built a stone oratory to praise God who let them live on this dot of land. Their stone chapel outlasted all who came, hermits, shepherds, shipwrecked sailors, even rats. Now seals and storm petrels sing wild hymns, ride the swells, give thanks.
Okay. Because I was conscious of the time limit before, but that doesn't seem to be a problem now. Susan, you said you had another one that you were going to read, and I said you could only do one. So if you've got another one, Susan.
Shall I not do it in the second half?
Oh, you can do it in the second half if you like. Okay.
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 When will we do an interval? Could we maybe have a 5-minute interval?
Well, we're getting to the interval in a moment.
I was texting if we were getting near there.
It's okay. Somebody who wanted to be here, but he doesn't have a computer, is Stephen.
Oh, typical.
But he's I sent him a message, and he was feeling really isolated because he lives on his own, and he wasn't seeing anybody, and his all Cornerstone's cafe has been closed, and obviously SpeakEasy wasn't happening in the source, so he was feeling really down. So I said,
Philip, can you abuse James as you're doing this, because that's what he would do?
yeah.
That caveat at the end, otherwise
Shout lots of abuse at him.
Yeah. Yeah, you sunshine.
James,
Yeah.
that means you have the heckle, Phil.
Yeah. No, it's all right. But I was going to read the stuff he did for Fryram, which, as we all know, was about isolation, strangely enough, and overcoming isolation. And Stephen came up with some poetry based on definitions of isolation and being alone. So it's in this lovely magazine, which is available on Amazon from Coldew Press, the SpeakEasy contribution.
Whoa.
And this goes like this. The dictionary meaning of isolation goes as follows: the act or an instance of isolating, the state of being isolated or separated. What isolation really means to me: ignored, snubbed, ostracized, lone, aloof, trapped, insulted, off-putting, numbed. He's got a second definition: infinity, surprises, others, love lost, apocalypse, time tracks, invasion, old ghosts, notorious. And then for alone, aghast, last, overpowering, nightmares, everything. And alien, lifeless, oneness, never-ending evil. And that's Stephen's contribution for isolation in Fryram. So. Thank you. I was having a think about how the press conferences that have been coming out daily from Downing Street with the two experts flanking whichever member of the government is there, usually Boris. And I thought, let's hear it for the experts, because hopefully they'll get us through. Let's hear it for the experts. Those who know their stuff. They who tell us when's the right time to run indoors, take shelter, hunker down and wait patiently, most patiently. As sirens wail, bells toll, patience risks rise, and in time, we hope, fall once more. When danger has abated, death has left our door, be it sunshine, be it rain. We are marking off each day until it's safe again, so the experts say. That's that. Thanks. Right, that's sort of the halfway point or the end of part one, which would have been about 40 minutes. So that's timekeeping for you. Shall we have a little pause? I don't know if people want to
drink.
Cup of tea.
Go to the bar for a
Are
drink.
we starting a new chat, or are we just carrying on with this one?
I'd
Just carry on.
You got unlimited minutes, didn't you?
Yeah.
We did get unlimited minutes.
Yeah, we can
It
see what
costs
goes
money
on
though,
in
doesn't
people's
it?
rooms when they leave.
Doesn't it cost you like £12 if you want to carry on, but it'll be free if you just turn exit and then start another one? So,
How do you cost money?
it costs money after 40 minutes. It's like £12 or something like that.
We got a thing came up on the screen, but I'm tempted to do another chat because Fernando Smith said he might be able to join us for the second half. But if he's logged into one on his own, that might seem a bit.
Yeah.
Although he's probably got enough material for an hour. So.
Are we coming back in 5 minutes?
To himself.
The other one's due to start at 8:30.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
That sounds good to me.
Come back at 8:30.
Yes.
And the chat's already on the Facebook.
Yeah, I've got a little list of who's in the second half if we want to just run through that. Okay. So I'll kick off. And then Susan, you said you got another poem?
Okay.
Yeah. And then Becca, you wanted to read Kevin's stuff?
Cool.
And then Chris, after Becca. Owen.
Okay.
Owen after Chris.
Can you hear me, Phil? Because I can't hear myself.
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't
hear you. Craig after Owen. Max after Craig. Maybe Dave after Max. And then James get another one.
Phil?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I might have settled down to the point where I'm ready to do something.
Okay, Dave. Well, you can follow Max.
Okay.
Okay.
Who is I after?
You're after Dave.
Okay, cool.
Like a
Is
well-oiled
it
machine.
reading? Jean?
What?
Jean, aren't you going to read?
No, I'm just pressing the buttons.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. The first half was really good. I hope everyone's coming through okay. So yeah, give everyone a round of applause.
Yeah.
So back at 8:30 then?
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Cheers, everybody. Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
Phil, we can't see you over.
Sorry, that's
We may have to mute.
That's Dave.
Okay.
Infinite delay.
Hi, folks.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Phil.
Just
I'm just having a scotch here. Double malt.
Double malt. Single malt.
Cheers.
So
Cheers, Tony.
Cheers.
Griffiths is here. Hi, Fernando.
Hello.
hello.
Hi.
And just
Guys, I
remind,
don't know if you know this, but if you click gallery view, you can see all of you at once.
yeah,
Where's that?
up in the top right corner.
That's what I've been doing.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool.
It's great.
Cool.
I haven't got a gallery.
How exciting.
It's the little squares on the top right.
Might say speaker view or gallery view.
Oh my God.
Craig is reclining now.
I've only just got a
got
picture
it.
of you. You're not moving.
No. Well, I've decided to take precautions.
Oh, just got a nosebleed.
Oh, no.
Nice.
Marvellous.
I didn't want to take any chances.
Oh, where? What's he laughing at?
Phil.
This might be gallows humour, so you know. This is really difficult to read poetry in. So,
Oh! Just thinking here.
Good God.
oh,
It's a plague mask.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
a very good idea.
yeah,
That's cool.
these are what all the hospital workers are using.
No, we're not. We haven't got any masks.
Oh, I haven't got any.
It's
sad.
We haven't got any hand gel either, but don't
You
complain.
stay still, Phil. I'm not taking a photo.
See, Phil, you'll have to describe to me.
It's getting a bit warm, actually.
It's me.
It's you.
Oh yeah. Are we okay? No, nosebleeds.
Yeah, we're all-
Okay.
Are we okay?
It's like one of those experiments where they put chimps in a scenario and see how long it takes them to figure out how to use the pedals to get the food or something, isn't it?
Glad you said it.
Well, shall we crack on? As I say,
Yeah.
we went through the running order just before, and Fernando Smith, you're on after James Riddick towards the end of the half. Does that sound okay?
Never heard of him.
Never. No, I've never heard of him either, but
I'm sure he'd be very good, though.
I hope so. I'm counting on it. Cool. All right. Well, I thought the first half went really well. And as I say, I'm recording this so we can post it on Facebook and show everyone what they missed by not being here. I hope that's okay with everybody, yeah?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
There'll be a collective sigh of relief across the county.
Across the world, yeah. Okay. I think everyone will remember where they were in the running order. So,
You're written down. Fine.
Oh, sorry, Becca's got to
okay, it's me, Susan, Becca, Chris, Owen, Craig, Max, Dave, James, Fernando Smith, whoever he is, and then me again. And if anybody else wants to shout up now, I could put you on the list.
If you can put me on, I'll read one of my old ones.
Okay.
I'd like to. I've got a ukulele song, but only if there's time. I don't
Yep.
mind. I've read it tonight, so I'm happy.
Okay.
But if there's time,
We're going to change the order like this. All right. Okay. The revised order. Me, Susan, Becca, Chris, Owen, and then Will, and then Craig, and then Claire. You can do your song. Max, are you doing a song as well?
Yes, I will be playing the piano.
All of that.
In your conservatory.
Well, Max, I'll maybe move you towards the end because that's part of the magic, the running order.
Okay.
Okay.
you could put me on the end, and then if we run out of time, I don't have to do it. As a suggestion.
It's all right.
I don't mind.
Craig, Claire, Dave, James, Fernando, Max, and then me. Does that sound okay?
I just want to say I'm afraid I'll have to go shortly after 9 because our dinner will be served then. So please don't take offence, but I will disappear around then.
I thought they'd brought a curfew in around Maryport. Not yet.
Not at our house.
No.
We eat late.
Shall we crack on? And again, if people can try and mute their stuff and only unmute themselves to applaud and do their stuff. Does that sound good? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, Cold You Press got asked to be involved in doing some workshops with Carla United because they were working with school kids as part of an outreach program. The Premier League have a remit to do sort of schooling stuff, and the theme was ambition. But Susan was in isolation, and so I went along and helped them out. And I came up with this poem about isolation for the kids. Just to not isolation, ambition was the theme. Ambition and having goals and aiming for more out of life. So this is the ambition mission. You and I, we're on a mission to light this rocket and press ignition. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off. Aim for the skies, open up your eyes to possibilities. Live our dreams as individuals or working in teams. We strive to be in the Premier Division as we explore our sense of ambition. Short and sweet, so that's that.
Hey!
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, it's me now. I'm just laughing because Dave and Jean's cat's ass is in the screen.
I thought they were doing Kitten Kong from the Goodies.
Yeah, it is. That would work.
This cat's ass.
The cat's joining in.
Right. Ooh, okay. So there is peace in a blue sky, with scudding clouds, florreting and mackerelling in dappled, speckled sunspot freckling, warmth breaking through. To banish winter white skin, crinkled eyes on upturned face, to drink in golden nectar through storm-parched pores. The birds on dates to gather strength and usher in a hopeful spring. The lowering light of rain clouds ever present, bending leggy daffs, still turning to the hidden sun. Do we dare believe the wheel is turning, dare believe the storms will pass? Relax into the winter waning despite the grizzled scribbles on the edge of horizon. There is enchantment in this land we must believe in, must believe our circle songs continue and not refrain. The season of storms is fading and soon will leave us warmth, peace and birdsong.
Hey,
Lovely. Hello. This is by Kevin O'Connor, who I believe is in there somewhere. Here I know who I am. Here I know who I am. A train, a plane, a destination changes all that. Here I know who I am. Closer to that which is not far away. Beyond my vision, there is nothing. Here I know who I am. A sound familiar that I have not heard before. Repeating sounds, simple sounds, clicks and empty in their echo. Footsteps in the night, curious minds at work. Dread, anticipation, sleep and quiet dreams. What does one deserve? Here, I know who I am. Huddled in my bed, daylight, waiting in the wings, I think of bread, of toast and tea. For me, that is my symphony of comfort and of sympathy. The night so dark for me, I welcome that which is gone. I have left a marker in the woods of all that's gone before me, beans and paper trails to follow. Unravel all the mystery of that outward journey. A spiral of discovery that I have known so well will bring me down to earth. Such harmonies express my thoughts, so much more to tell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, great words from Kevin. Great words from Becca. Chris.
It's me. I've just got a poem which I did the other day, which was kind of a result of a joyful walk I did in these days of probably not much joyfulness. The Way of the Water. I drove from Brampton for a walk by a river, the Irthing, by Rulholm Bridge. I knew the same river past Rulholm as Brampton Old Church, but the two places seemed unconnected on foot. Only the water went that way, so I set off to follow the way of the water. I had walked there with my family before and stopped at the end of the pool by the bridge, but beyond, the riverbank narrowed, the trees receded, and a narrow path formed by a sign, Brampton AA. An angler's path. I went on. I knew these waters were fished by creatures other than men. I met an otter once, not far from here, as the crow flies and the river flows. He crossed the road without looking, by Shore House, a stone's throw from the river. I hit him at 50. Bereft, I stopped, and looking down at him, still, silent, 2 more feet appeared. The farmer. He's been up here for 2 days, crossing the road like a fool. The elves are up, he can't resist them. Damned shame, that. The dog had a smear of blood on his chin, but was perfect. I picked him up. He was heavy, muscle from the tip of his tail to his whiskered chin. Later, I let him go with flowers and tears by Irving Bridge. God damn shame. So, I had met an Irving fisherman before. And as I went upstream, uphill, a winding way, I looked for signs of life. After the floods, the bank was variously pale yellow, crimson orange, slick with mud or coarse with grit. The banks were new, so would be the tracks. And opposite Thorny Hill, there they were, dimpled and sweet like raisins in a spotted dick, plump little patterns of toes, and occasionally fine pointed claws clumped together in the sand. One big set, bigger and deeper, and some pups, small and numerous. And where the adult went a foot, the pups went too, in tight turns and runs, chicanes of energy and excitement, down to the water's edge, then up to the grass and the bank, but not beyond. I followed them for 15 yards. Then they were gone, without a splash, back into the earthing. That's all I saw. For just 15 yards, they were land bound. Then they were gone, back to the way of the water. That's it. Thank you.
So today is Lawrenceville and Getty's 101st birthday. Imagine that. So I'm going to read one of his poems first, and I'm going to read a bit of one of my poems. So this is called I Am Waiting. I am waiting for my case to come up, and I am waiting for a rebirth of wonder. And I am waiting for someone to really discover America and wail. And I'm waiting for the discovery of a new symbolic Western frontier. And I'm waiting for the American eagle really to spread its wings, straighten up and fly right. And I'm waiting for the age's anxiety to drop dead. And I'm waiting for the war to be fought, which will make the world safe for anarchy. I'm waiting for the final withering away of all governments, and I'm perpetually waiting for a rebirth of wonder. I'm waiting for the second coming, and I'm waiting for a religious revival to sweep through the state of Arizona. And I'm waiting for the grapes of wrath to be stored, and I'm waiting for them to prove God is really American. Hang on a sec. And I'm waiting to see God on television, piped into church altars, if they could find the right channel to tune in on. And I'm waiting for the Last Supper to be served again with a strange new appetizer. And I'm perpetually waiting for a rebirth of wonder. I'm waiting for my number to be called, and I'm waiting for the Salvation Army to take over. And I'm waiting for the meek to be blessed and inherit the earth without taxes. And I'm waiting for forests and animals to reclaim the earth as theirs. And I'm waiting for a way to be devised to destroy all nationalisms without killing anybody. And I'm waiting for linnets and planets to fall like rain. And I'm waiting for lovers and weepers to lie down together in a new rebirth of wonder. And I'm waiting for the great divide to be crossed. And I'm anxiously waiting for the secret of eternal life to be discovered by an obscure general practitioner. And I'm waiting for the storms of life to be over. And I'm waiting to set sail for happiness. And I'm waiting for a reconstructed Mayflower to reach America with its picture story and TV rights sold in advance to the native. And I'm waiting for the lost music to sound again in the lost continent in a new rebirth of wonder. And I'm waiting for the day that maketh all things clear. And I'm awaiting retribution for what America did to Tom Sawyer. And I'm waiting for Alice in Wonderland to retransmit to me a total dream of innocence. And I'm waiting for the child Roland to come to the final darkest tower. And I'm waiting for Aphrodite to grow live arms at a final disarmament conference in a new rebirth of wonder. I'm waiting to get some intimations of immortality by recollecting my early childhood. And I'm waiting for the green mornings to come again, stone greenfield to come back again. And I'm waiting for some strands of unpremeditated art to shape my typewriter. And I'm waiting to write the great indelible poem. And I'm waiting for the last long, careless rapture. And I'm perpetually waiting for the fleeting lovers on the Grecian urn to catch each other up at last and embrace and I'm waiting perpetually and forever a renaissance of wonder. On the phone, Getty. 101. This next one, clap for Lawrence. This is the middle portion of I read 2 poems at SpeakEasy last time I was there, part 1 and part 3, because I hadn't finished part 2. I have now finished part 2, but I'm only going to read part 2. I'll just give you a brief recap of part 1 was a little kid running towards the sea. Part 3 was an old man getting into a rock pool. And part 2 is called The Epic, and it's a sort of young man being exuberant, as they are, called The Epic. Dawn in a car park by the Western Ocean. Waves crumble on the shoreline. From a toilet block entranceway beside overflowing bins, draped with the debris of a dolphin-shaped inflatable, friends and flag flapping in the wind. Wrecked fluorescents flicker out a signal weak as starlight to ships and seals passing in the distance semi-dark. Amongst all this, a car door slams like a gun going off, and from an island made of light, engine humming, heater set to overdrive, a figure stripped and shoeless sprints across the tarmac, leaps Olympian the fence perimeter, and streaks across the narrow strip of strand. Pebbles crack and clatter in his wake. There is bravery in this haste, this rush towards experience, that knows the coming cold will take away his breath. Blue lips, pimple skin, shriveled taut the softest parts, the same way Michelangelo showed that David did before his battle with Goliath. Hero toned, long and loose, he cast aside an old approach. No more games to play, no childish hesitations. Legs wildly wheeling, chest prow-like pointed towards the vast horizon, he carves a spattering path through the vanguard of the waves. And with one giant leap skyward, sleek as a swallow through the high wild air, dives beneath the barreling surf. The ocean swallows him whole. But unlike Jonah in the belly of the whale, or countless other tall tales told, his captor creature cannot keep him down. And blazing in the burnished light, dawn's first flecks wrapped around his nakedness, skin and soul electrified, he bursts from the surface of the freezing hammered brine, stealer of the ocean's aim, a human torch. He glows. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've just got like quite a short one. It's called Safety Net, and I read it back in Fox's. It was going to be at one point potentially the thing that I put forwards to the SpeakEasy magazine. Turned out not to be, but I think James remembers it anyway. It's just a short one. Take away my safety net. I don't want it anymore. I might not have my balance yet, but want a clear view of the floor. Throw aside my umbrella, although I think it's gonna pour. I need to get out of the cellar and it won't fit through the door. Give my gloves to someone new, though winter chills me to my core. I see your hands shivering too, and the warmth from my hands can't get through. That's it. That's it.
Hey.
Okay, it's supposed to be Craig, but he seems to have disappeared.
Yay!
Hello.
Great working. Hello. Can everyone hear me? There's nothing I can do if you can't. I just thought I'd read the reply of the Zafarian Cossacks.
The what?
Yeah.
Say it again.
I thought I'd read the reply of the Zafarian Cossacks. So there was this big sultan, and he sent this letter to these barbarians asking them to stop attacking his empire, and then they sent a reply. So this is both letters. Sultan Mehmed IV to the Zafarian Cossacks. As the Sultan, son of Mohammed, brother of the sun and moon, grandson and viceroy of God, ruler of the kingdoms of Macedonia, Babylon, Jerusalem, Upper and Lower Egypt, emperor of emperors, sovereign of sovereigns, extraordinary knight, never defeated, steadfast guardian of the tomb of Jesus Christ, trustee chosen by God himself, the hope and comfort of Muslims, confounder and great defender of Christians. I command you, Zaphorian Cossacks, to submit to me voluntarily and without any resistance, and to desist from troubling me with your attacks. And then this is their reply. Zaphorian Cossacks to the Turkish Sultan. O Sultan, Turkish devil and damned devil's kith and kin, secretary to Lucifer himself, what the devil kind of knight art thou, that canst not slay a hedgehog with your naked arse? The devil shits, and your army eats. Thou shalt not, thou son of a whore, make subjects of Christian sons. We have no fear of your army by land, and by sea we will battle thee. Fuck thy mother, thou Babylonian scullion, Macedonian wheelwright, brewer of Jerusalem, goat fucker of Alexandria, swineherd of Greater and Lesser Egypt, pig of Armenia, Podolian thief, catamite of Tartary, hangman of camionets, fool of all the world and underworld, an idiot before God, grandson of the serpent and the crick in our dick, pig snout, mare's arse, slaughterhouse cut, unchristened brow, screw thine own mother. So the Zaphorians declare, you lowlife. You won't even be herding pigs for the Christians. Now we'll conclude, for we don't know the date, and we don't own a calendar. The moon's in the sky, the year with the Lord, the day's the same over here as it is with thee. For this, kiss our ass. Thank you.
Yay!
Oh, that's horrible.
Just noticed.
So, Craig, what happened next?
Yeah.
The Sultan got beat.
Marilyn is here, and Juliet's joined us.
Am I there?
Welcome.
Marilyn.
Marilyn, did you want to read anything?
Tony. No, I've only just managed to get onto the flipping thing.
All right. And Juliet, did you want to read anything?
No, thanks. I've just managed to get on. So it's just really nice to see you all and hear you.
Oh, thank you. Fantastic. Okay, we got Claire. You gonna do a song? Yeah.
Bring out that tiny guitar. Without as many fingers possible.
Guitars are just big ukuleles. Does this sound okay? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
I plug it all in, but it's all the way over there. So, oh, this meeting has been upgraded. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, so can you hear this? Sorry? Right, okay. This song is one that I'm working on, and it's fairly new, and it's called Spring Every Day, so we'll see how it goes. And I don't know if this is all too soon, and if we're still healing from our previous wounds, but this is all I know. Don't know where we are right now. These are all the things I know. Never wanna leave this place. Never wanna be far away. Why can't it be spring every day? Never wanna leave your arms. Never wanna be far, far. Why can't it be spring every day? That's kind of a taster of the new one that I'm working on.
Very springy now.
It's nice and cheesy.
So, Dave.
Yeah, I'm here. Hang on, I better plug my headphones in, otherwise you'll get feedback. That better? Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Oh, we can
Yeah?
hear.
Okay. Right, this is from one of my favourite books about the Marx Brothers by Joe Adamson. And I just thought it was apt. From 1919. Yeah, I've lost the page now. Hang on. Antiquity. The Cinderella Girl, 1919. A merry mélange of, what does it say? There it is. The Cinderella Girl, 1919. A merry mélange of mirth, melody, and music. The Marx Brothers' first attempt at a legitimate musical show was written on commission by Joe Swirling, with music by Gus Kahn, and based on not much more than Chico's unswervable confidence and unshakable desire to do a legitimate musical. It had a half-hearted story and a stack of half-hearted backdrops and a row of rotten chorus girls in rotten costumes. It played for 3 days in Battle Creek, Michigan, at the height of the flu epidemic that was decimating the country like the plague. The city's schools and churches were all closed, but Minnie, their mother, Minnie Marx, managed to talk the mayor into letting the theatre open, so long as only every other seat and every other row was occupied. An audience showed up, but not a whole audience, and everyone in it was antiseptically hooded and masked like refugees from the Ride of the Clan. And everyone in it feared for his life if the fella next to him so much as breathed. Nobody was in much of a mood for laughing, which put the stars not in much of a mood for making jokes, which put everybody in even less of a mood for laughing. The epidemic was so contagious, it killed the show. When the script failed, they tried self-admitted improvisation. When improvisation failed, the flu began to look pretty attractive. When Cinderella Girl failed, it was back to vaudeville. There you are, that's the Marx Brothers, 1919. Okay.
Relevant.
It's you again, James.
Right, cool. Am I more audible this time? Because I believe I had some issues with the microphone last time.
Yeah, that's more audible.
Cool. It all just came from not holding my phone closer to my face. Two that I'll do quickly. One's fun and one's not. Sometime a rain will be the last rain. Not one of us can be around for it to qualify. If it's one of those fine rains that takes you to the door, a big fair jet that can be run between. But it will still come down all over but reach our bodies, whether they're still flesh or we distributed masses, as well as our artifacts. Fizzy drink bottles stuck in their bright little heads out of the yearning for the sun to bleach them, as if they might photosynthesize. We populate as an apology for the creation. We got carried away, which is the ideal way to describe it if you can just it. Everyone gets carried away sometimes. Kids without faces, by waters, in places you're never quite able to remember the names of. Can't be helped, can it? That kind of thing has been happening since before the Bible, a bit famous for its flood. And then I've got one that's I spent like a couple of weeks just watching lots of things about this man who I believe is probably the best man who's ever existed. Fred Dibner, King of the Road, tells us casually if the water runs out, the engine might explode. Fred Dibner scares the cows with the roller's yelp, thundering away from the public house. Fred Dibner leads his bitter to take away the pain, he says, of the bumps behind the wheel and the fear of the ascent when the wind makes the chimney sway. And for what else? Fred Dibner setting fires, walking through the smoke unafraid, surveying for the searching for something secret that's never there. Fred Dibner, living forever, with sweat and tears mingling with the metal of his engine. That's it.
Okay.
Does that work or not?
Thanks, James. Yeah, the microphone's not brilliant, but we can still hear you a bit. But
don't worry, it's performance art. He's doing it underwater.
Yeah, it was something about Fred Dibner. It was great.
Yeah, that's it. Fred Dibner. That's it. That'll be
fantastic. Okay, it's
I'll have to nice to hear your voice, James.
Bye.
Bye, James. Bye.
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 I'm saying.
Okay, Fernando Smith.
Hello.
Hello.
Is the sound okay on that?
Sounds great.
Yeah, that's good.
You can hear.
I went for my one and only walk yesterday, and as we wonder what's different, after a couple of miles, I looked at the sky and I noticed there were no airplane lines in the sky, and I hadn't seen an airplane for several days. And so the poem was born, much like spitting out phlegm and forming an oyster on the tarmac. And so I wrote this yesterday and finished it this morning. It's called The Dots and the Lines. The Dots and the Lines. Children muck about on the third row. Paper bag gasps and shrieks on pantomime day. The fake lion blows a foamy roar through the mouldy costume. The clown pretends to choke, hacking, imitating oversized feet, flapping across the sawdust, throwing up corky clouds, knee-high, like he's running over hot coals. The little girl next to me turns her head without moving an eye. She reveals to me what happens to the lion at the end. She saw the same show yesterday and grows 2 feet, sharing her secret knowledge. All these stories end the same way, I think to myself. Now, months later, she tells me again from her new position, 3 inches taller, and she tells me about the clear sky and asks, where are the aeroplanes? Is there a special land they visit? Maybe like going away on holiday? I wonder if we've reached the edge of something, like a love affair that runs out of steam. I wonder if the time we had ran out while we were busy making lives and taking lives and raising children, advancing careers, buying homes, paying taxes, watching our parents grow old and die, right there in front of us, like a real thing. Or doing it somewhere else, behind closed walls, maybe on a screen, in a way that happens only in movies and to other people. How long have we been waiting here, caught on a drift of inattention? A sleight of hand that caused us to miss the last of the aeroplanes, bringing the survivors back home. And I have one shorter poem I'm going to read because it's optimistic. And it's called The Light. The light held us, you, your sister, the bell jar of our family. The light held us in its forensic smile, and we loitered there a while, and we smiled back, and we forgot those arguments of memory, instead becoming an energy of joy. And we, held there like heirlooms, a school of little silver fish, happy to dance together in the light's net.
Right. Okay. Max?
Hold on. Sorry, I got completely lost in words.
That's great. It's been really good. Ooh.
Is that a treated piano?
James, again, I can't really understand what you're saying. You're underwater.
Well.
How long have I got, Phil?
Just well, as long as the song takes.
You sure?
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Okay.
Less than the amount of time the song takes.
I'm gonna play this piece by Nils Fromm called "Said and Done," and I'd really like you all to focus and concentrate on this one B, this one here. Just focus on that for the entirety of the song, and it might be quite cool. you.
Did your thumb hurt?
No. No, surprisingly.
There's a lot of practice banging the hand.
Yeah.
Great, cool. All right. Well, I think that brings us to near the end, really. It's been really good. And lovely to see you all.
Yeah.
Lovely to see everyone.
It was awesome.
It is nice.
It's really weird seeing everyone's living rooms.
At Joe's cave.
That is his living room. That's what his living room looks like.
Actually, James, you look like you're in a car.
I thought you were in
That's that ukulele
James
I
is always in a
about
bar.
3 years ago.
It's the unexpected events in the background which are always very interesting.
Yeah.
Cats.
Eats it into a
Oh,
cat.
there's a
Cat is
cat.
nice.
That's my
Yeah.
favourite.
Thumbs up for
Fantastic.
cat.
Okay.
I was impressed.
Thank you, Philip.
Well,
Yeah,
Cheers,
cheers,
everybody.
Phil.
Everybody take care of yourself.
do your traditional roundup, Phil.
well, I will. And then I've got one more about for
Let's thank Becca for the coffee.
yeah. Let's do the thank you. Let's give everyone who rang a round of applause, shall we?
we got a long way to clap.
Everybody who did music and sang and played for us, that was great. Everyone who listened. Thanks to all of you for hosting us.
Thank you to Zoom for hosting us.
Yeah, very good.
And giving us extra time.
Thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, for extra time for Zoom, yeah.
And next time you come, James, don't wear those shoes, else you won't be allowed in. And no jeans.
I'm not wearing trousers, Mark.
I got this last one I wanted to do about the for everyone who's working in the NHS.
Yay!
Hooray!
Hey. And I was thinking of the movie, the Pixar movie, The Incredibles. And real heroes don't wear capes, right? So this is called No Capes. Real heroes don't wear capes. They've no ability granted by radioactive spider or a genetic quantum leap been dealt. No need to lead a double life or for ultra mysterious identity. They don't need to live in secret hideaways or even own a utility belt. Their magic doesn't come out of a carpet bag with a burst of Mary Poppins panache. Right now, they struggle to get their personal protective equipment, despite the Treasury releasing billions in cash. In the face of gods of Mount Olympus, they accept this Herculean task. There's no mystery behind our heroes, no story behind the mask. They are doctors and nurses, surgeons, epidemiologists, and physicians, risking infection on the front line, making tough choices, life-changing, life-saving decisions. Trained to heal the sick, to help cure the nation, doing everything they can to get those in need ventilation. These angels watch over us in surgical scrubs or disposable gown. They live quietly among us in every corner of our country, each city and town. We rely on these heroes, their training and skills, not showy, explosive last-minute escapes. Real people who give it their all. And remember, darling, no capes. Real heroes don't wear capes. Yeah, thank you all once again. Stay safe and well. And we'll see you again in a month's time or maybe soon.
Yeah.
Maybe sooner. We've got nothing else to do.
Take care. Good to see you all.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh,
Awkward leaning forward and don't turn it off.
Let's go, Owen.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Safe journey home.
Stay here.
Sorry, I just wanted to see him.
Just want to see how long Phil will wait.